What is a polynomial? A polynomial is any mathematical or algebraic expression that is written in the form of ax to the n. Ax to the n. Where a we call the coefficient. If you don't understand what I'm reading, please writing, you have to let me know. Is the coefficient. Now x is your variable and n is your exponent. When we talk about coefficients, we talk about a real number. A variable, any letter of the alphabet, any letter. You can put any letter there. I know normally you see the X and Y because we do a lot of work in the X and Y plane, but that don't mean that's the only letter you can put there. You can put a W if you want as a variable. And then N is a non-negative power. Now, why is a non-negative? What happens if you have a negative power? What happens with this expression? How you can make a negative power a positive power? Somebody have an idea? Remember, class intervention points toward your exam. How you make, you have, for example, a 3 minus to the negative 2. How you make this exponent positive?
Negative times a negative is a positive.
It's close, you are close, but
You put it under a fraction.
who said that? Very good. You see what how thinking work? You are very close. No? You are very close. Who want to finally see you put under a fraction? What will be in the numerator of this fraction? Guys, don't be exactly. And then in the bottom, you put 3 to the second power. But if you do that, you are complicating your life and your algebraic expression. You are already making fractions when you don't need fractions. That's the reason we need to have a non-negative power there. See, let me put your points because as I promised, I will give you points against your test. No, in favor, no against. They told me that they took all the, okay. Who answered? Your name is?
Keely.
Keely, very good, Keely. And
Riley.
Riley. Okay. Somebody else answer today?
Andre.
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 Of Andre, okay. Because you have to, each one have a point over your test. But remember, you have a perfect attendance, means you don't miss any day of class. You are always in a classroom. You have 5 points already over your test. You have a perfect attendance. Plus all these points that you are doing for attendance, for intervention. So as you can see, that is a polynomial. But an example of that, I'll give you an example, will be, for example, 8x to the second power plus 1. That is a polynomial, it's called a binomial. The expression a to the x to the n is also called a term. A term. No? And a term is, again, is a coefficient and a real number multiplied to a variable, any letter of the alphabet, rise to a power, an exponent that is a non-negative exponent. So that is a term or a polynomial. An example is this one, 8x squared plus 1. That is a polynomial. And how many terms this polynomial have? How many terms you see there? Two. Very good, two terms. So you have two terms. Kaylee have another point. You say your name right, no?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to be sure. Then you have two terms. No, that is your first term, and that is your second term. And when you have two terms, it's called a it's called a binomial. If you have only one term, you have a x squared, it's called a monomial. Monomial. Come on. I don't want to write. Monomial. And when you have three terms, when you have 8x squared plus 5x minus 2. Do you see there are three terms there? That is called a trinomial. Trinomial. Anything over three terms is called a polynomial. 4, 5, 6, 7 is called a polynomial. Only we have a specific name for one term, two terms, and three terms. One term, monomial, two terms, binomial, three terms, trinomial. The rest, polynomial. But one of the questions in the test is if this number that don't have a x, but is part of a polynomial, is called a constant. A constant. Because and you will identify the constant because it's a number without a variable. There is no a letter there. But one of the questions that you have today in your assignment, if this number is a polynomial, if you have a number 1, is that a polynomial or is not a polynomial expression? Well, a term, no, is any algebraic expression that you write in the form of a, that is a number, multiplied to x, that is a variable, a letter, raised to a power, that is a known negative exponent. You can rewrite this constant in this way. A will be your 1. You can multiply this by any letter. I will put a P. Because could be, you can use any letter as a variable, any letter. No? And I will rise to the 0 power. What happens when you rise any number to the 0 power?
It's one.
Exactly. Katie has another point for the test. It's 1. So because any number that you rise to the 0 power is 1, 1 multiplied to the p rise to the 0 is equal to say 1 times 1, that will be 1. So you can say that a constant is also a polynomial expression. We don't write in this way, but it's a polynomial expression because and if you have a question, please make your questions because I'm here for that. If you don't make questions, I'm assuming that you're understanding everything I'm saying. If you don't understand something and you need more clarification, that is the time to speak up and tell me, Mr. Camacho, I don't understand. And that is okay. There's no problem to don't understand. Does anybody have any problem with everything I have said about polynomials? That is the basic base for polynomials. You need to know that because you have to answer the first two questions is relate to everything that's here. And then we're beginning to work with polynomials, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing polynomials. But you need to understand this first. What is a polynomial? What is a term? No? How you call one term is a monomial, two terms, a binomial, three terms, a trinomial. So any questions so far? Everybody took notes? I can erase that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I want to be sure you have your notes because I'm debating, and I will let you know the next class if I will give you an extra credit if you show me your notes in perfect, legible, and organized notes every day that we have class until the exam number 1. But let me think about it. Just I can erase all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go now to do some equations after I give you this foundational part. Then my question is, you have an algebraic expression like 2x to the 5 power minus 3x to the 4 power plus 12x to the 3rd power minus 2. How many terms we have there?
3 polynomial.
It's a polynomial because 3 will be if I don't have the 2.
Okay.
But remember, the constant is called the constant as a polynomial. We just clarify that. If we have to write it, it will be 2x to the 0 power. But we'll never do that, but I will do it for illustration because that is what it is. I will give you your point, man.
It's Olivia.
Olivia, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have a polynomial because we have more than 3. Remember, every time you see more than 3, polynomial. So is my point, if that is a polynomial, what is the degree of this polynomial? How you answer this question? To find the degree of the polynomial, you need to find which of the exponents is the higher one. If you see all these exponents, which one will be the highest exponent? 5. Very good, Miss Olivia. It's 5. Then the degree of the polynomial is 5. Is 5. And you want to say the whole world will be to the 5 power. God bless you, mucho. I love you, man. Me too. Need to close the door, forget that. Okay. Talking about doors for your safety, every time that we start class, please remind me I need to close the door. And if you hear in during the class something like outside, somebody need your help, you need to run here and put what happened with the thing? Oh, this red thing here has to go exactly right there. There's somebody trying to open the door or force the door and he can't. No, and if you hear another boom, it's another shot, please, that is the most secure area that you can be together because they cannot see you. We need to turn the lights off, come to this area and do nothing until the police says it's safety to go out. That is your information. We try to always check, look for your safety. Okay. And the log will be doors. When you go to the bottom, you have to, if you go to the bottom. The degree is 5. But who is the leading coefficient? To find the leading coefficient, you need to find what number is multiplied to the variable that have the higher power. So what number of these 2, 3, 12, and 2 is multiplied to the variable with the highest power? Who said 2? Very good. It's 2. So this 2 is the leading coefficient. Remember, you need to put in your notes, no always, this is in order. It's in the standard form. You can see it's coming 5, 4, 3, 0. But sometimes they can put in the test, in your quiz, or in your homework, a polynomial in this array, no in order. So it doesn't matter where the leading coefficient, doesn't matter where the greatest exponent is. Imagine that the greatest exponent are here. It's still the greatest exponent because it's the highest one. But then you need to find what number is multiplied to the variable that have the highest power in order to answer the question, who is the leading coefficient? Everybody got that? Okay. Let me put points. Who you answer? And you are Kelly.
No, I'm right.
Riley, I'm sorry. I will remember all your names. Because you are Kelly. Kelly, Riley, Olivia, Barbara,
Yes.
and then you are Mason. Yes, very good.
It's Riley.
Riley.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Riley. Very good. Thank you for doing that because I want to be sure I pronounce your name rightly. Any questions about the degree or leading coefficient? Everybody got that? So let's do some equations. Now we clean up also the foundational. I can erase before us. Everybody took notes? Yeah? No? You don't took notes?
Okay.
Okay. Then let's do the first problem that we have today in an assignment. Now imagine that you have, I would put 1x squared plus 11x plus 9. Parentheses. Don't look like a 9. Plus 9. Plus 6x squared minus 7x plus 8. Now, why I put a 1 in front of this x? When you have I will put also the power of 1 here. No, normally in mathematics, in chemistry, and physics, we don't write it once. We say there is an understood wonder. No, there is an understood 1 in front of the, you see an x with no coefficient, the default coefficient will be 1. If you see a variable x, p, d, any letter that don't have a power, the default power is 1. So if you don't see a coefficient, you know that there is a 1 in front. And if you don't see a power, you know that there is a 1 in the top as an exponent. And I put there for you guys. So now we are adding this exponent. These terms. We are adding 2 trinomials because each you have 1, 2 terms, 1, 2 terms. So when you try to add and subtract trinomials, binomials, monomials, doesn't matter how many terms is inside the parentheses, the first thing that you need to watch is there is anything in front of the parentheses. Do you see something there? Then I can take everything out of the parentheses because there is nothing to distribute. Because you have here a negative or you have here a number, you have to first distribute this sign or this number inside the parentheses as you beginning to take the parentheses out. But because there is nothing there, I can take everything of the parentheses as it is. 1x squared plus 11x plus 9. And I stop there because you can see there is something in front of the other parentheses, a plus sign. But doesn't matter, it's a plus sign, could be a negative sign, or could be a number. So we're beginning to distribute. Now you have a positive times a positive 6 squared. Positive times positive is a positive. So you have plus 6x squared. Then you have a positive times a negative, and when you multiply a positive and a negative is negative. So you have minus 7x, and then you have a positive times a positive is a positive, you have your 8. Now everything is outside the parentheses. If you have problems or you don't remember about the law of signs, when you add, subtract, multiply, and divide, in the video that I posted already in Blackboard, my first screen have the laws of multiplication and division, addition, and subtraction for signs. No, the minus and the plus sign. I put all these laws there, you can review. But do you understand what I did there? If I have any question about that? No? So now that we have all our parentheses, my next step is combine like terms. Now, what make a term like? For example, I can say that 1x squared and 6x squared are like terms. Why? Because both have the same variable, x, and both are raised to the same power, 2 and 2. I cannot say that 1x squared and 11x are like terms. Even though both have the same variable, the same letter, this one is raised to the 1 power and this is raised to the 2nd power. Just to be like, they have to have the same variable and they have to be raised to the same power. So let's start to combine. I have 1x and you have plus 6x squared. 1 plus 6 will be 7. And if you add and subtract, you do nothing with the exponent. You copy the variable and the exponent as it is. Only when you multiply and divide, you have to deal with the exponents. But when you add and subtract, you don't do nothing. You don't touch the variable. You don't touch the exponent. You write this back again. So we already have done these two. Then you have 11x and 7x also are like terms because both have the same variable and are raised to the same power, the power of 1. Again, that is the default power. There is no power. You can say the power is 1. So you have now a positive 11 and a negative 7. When you add and subtract two numbers, you always carry the sign of the greatest number. Who is greater, 11 or 7?
11.
So the answer will be positive. And now you have to subtract, as you subtract normally. 11 plus 11 minus 7, you have is 4. You have 4x to the first power. And then my next step is I will have to do my constant. That will be my third, like the constant. So I have 9, positive 9 and positive 8. If you add them together, you have plus 17. So that is the answer. Why that is the answer? Because there is no more like terms. You only can add and subtract like terms. So any questions about the answer? And remember, you have any question, you can speak your question. No, we, the people in the United States of America, we have rights, and one of your rights is the right to express yourself with freedom. So if you want to express yourself, you are welcome to express yourself in the class. You never mad me, because if I get mad because you why what I'm doing, I don't have business in the class. I want to be sure that you understand deeply what we are doing right now, because that is the foundation for the next class. Math is like the Bible, precept upon precept. What you learn today, you apply tomorrow. What we are learning right now, we apply in the next class, that is factorization. So any questions so far? Everything is clear? I can erase that then. Then let's go to our second example. In our second example, we have you have parentheses, you have 8x to the third power plus 3x to the second power plus 6x to the 1 power plus 3. That is one parenthesis minus another parenthesis. You have 3x to the second power minus 7x to the 1 power plus 2. So now we are adding and subtracting. In the other one, again, we are adding and subtracting, but this time, in the first example, you have a negative between a positive between the parentheses. Now you have a negative sign. All right, because there is nothing in front of the first parenthesis, there is nothing to distribute. I can take everything out of the first parenthesis. You have 8x cubed plus 3x squared plus 6x plus 3. Now I will stop there, because now I need to distribute this negative sign inside of the second parenthesis. You have a negative, there is a positive in front of these 3x. There is a negative times a positive is a negative. It will be 3x squared. A negative times a negative is a positive. You have 7x to the 1 power, and then you have a negative times a positive is a negative. So after being distributed, now everything is out of the parentheses, and again, I need to work with my like terms. Do you? Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
A negative times a positive is a negative.
Yes, a negative times, you can write down a positive is equal to negative. A positive times a positive is equal to positive, and a negative times a negative is a positive. You can write this down. And that is, and in my first video, I put that plus the law of addition and subtraction. When you add and subtract minus and a minus, a minus and a plus, what happens? So you can see the video and you can get all this information. But that is for multiplication and division. You can apply this when you multiply and divide a number. Let me know when I can erase that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And let me give you a point for intervention. Guys, that what made a class alive, because you are voicing your concerns. I don't remember that, and I don't have any problem to bring it back to your memory, because that is the reason we are here. So, do you see any other number with a third power there? No. Because we need to write this again as it is, because there's nothing to combine this term. But I have a positive 3x squared and a negative 3x squared. What happens when you have a positive and a negative number?
They cancel out.
They cancel out. Very good. Very good. They cancel out. Then I can cancel these two numbers. I can cancel them because they will cancel out. So these two guys are gone. These are gone because they cancel themselves. So I go for my next one to be both to the x to the 1 power. I have a positive 6x and a positive 7x to the 1 power. 7 plus 6 is a 13 plus 13x to the 1 power. And then I already finished with these two guys. And my last one is my constant, plus 3 minus 2. Again, who is greater, 3 or 2? 3. So the answer is positive because 3 have a positive sign. And you subtract 3 minus 2 is a 1. And that is your final answer because there is no more terms to combine. You stop there. Let me know when I can go to the next one. Yeah? Okay. Can I erase everything? Okay. There's the next one that we have. Now we have a numerical part between the two parentheses. You have a 1x squared, no, plus 5x to the 1 power plus 3 plus 3 and parentheses. You have 2x squared plus 1x to the 1 power minus 5. So again, I don't have nothing here in front of the first parenthesis, therefore I can take everything out of the parentheses. There's nothing to distribute. So I have 1x squared plus 5x to the 1 power plus 3. And now I stop there because I have a number and a sign in front of the second parenthesis, and I need to distribute positive 3 inside of this parenthesis. So I will start, I have a positive 3 and a positive 2x squared. So when you multiply monomials, polynomials, or divide them, you only divide or multiply the numerical part. The numerical part will be 3 and 2. Because 3 times 2 is 6, and both are positive, plus 6. You copy your x squared because there is nothing, and there is no coefficients or powers in the 3. Then you go and do the same thing. Positive 3 times 1 will be plus 3x to the 1 power. And then you have example, you multiplying a positive and a negative. When you multiply a positive and a negative, the answer is negative and it's 15. So we have distributed everything already. We took everything out, parentheses. Now again, like terms. So you have 1x squared and you have 6x squared. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7x squared, so you have done with these two guys. Then you have plus 5x to the 1 power and plus 3x to the 1 power will be 5 plus 3 is 8. You have 8 squared to the 1 power. You're done with these two guys. And then you have a positive 3 and a negative 15. 15 is greater. Then the answer will be negative 12. And that's the answer because there is nothing else to combine. No? When you add and subtract, you stop it when there is nothing else to combine. No more like terms. So let me know when I can go to the next. Anybody? Any questions so far? No? Okay. So let's keep going. Give you more examples of your assignment today. Now we are multiplying 2x to the 4 power, negative 2x to the 4 power, and inside the parenthesis you have a 2x to the 4 power plus 6. So now we are distributing. Now we are applying the law of distribution for multiplication. And that means you have to multiply negative 2x 4 by every term inside of the parenthesis. Remember, when we multiply only the numerical part. So it's -2 times 2 will be -4. Negative and positive is a negative. So it will be -4. You put your x, and then when you multiply polynomials, you add the powers. When you, somebody at the door? Okay. When you divide polynomials, you subtract the powers. Because we are multiplying, we will add the powers. 4 plus 4 is 8. It will be -4x to the 8th power. And then you multiply the same -2x to the 4th power by 6. Multiply the numerical part. -2 times +6 is -12. And then you copy your x to the 4, and that is the end. All right, when we are going tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going Wednesday to factorization, we can solve this one. We can still go further. But because they are asking only to add and subtract and multiply, we'll stop there. But we will learn when we do in factorization that we can do one more step. Not right now. So any questions so far? I can erase. Okay. Let's go to another example. Now you have this example. You have x to the 1 power plus 4 times x to the 2nd power minus 5x to the 1 power plus 6. So again, remember that there is an understood one right here and understood one right here. So let's multiply the numerical part first. You multiply the first, you need to distribute each one of these terms and the other terms in the second parenthesis. So 1 times 1 will be a 1. And then you put your x and you add the powers. That is to the power of 1 plus the power of 2 will be to the power of 3. Then you go 1 times -5. Positive 1 times -5 will be -5. You put your x and you add the powers. 1 plus 1 will be 2. And then finally, you multiply 1 times 6. Positive 6, both are positive. And you carry your 1 to the first power because the other one don't have variable. We have only distribute 1. Now you have to do the same thing with the second one, plus 4. Positive 4 times 1, both are positive, will be times 4. You carry the x squared. Then positive 4 times -5. Positive and negative is a negative. 4 times 5 is a 20. It will be minus 20 x to the 1 power. And then you finally multiply positive 4 times positive 6 will be positive 24. So you see, we distribute everything. Everything is out of parentheses. Again, like terms. So you see, there is no other term in all these polynomials that have the power of 3. Because that, I will have to write this again, x to the 3rd power. But I have a -5x and I have a positive 4x squared. I can combine these two guys. So if you go, who is greater, -5 or 4? -5, if 5 is greater than 4, the answer will be negative. And then you subtract -5 plus 4 will be a -x squared. And you can put a 1 if you want. If you put a 1, you don't do any change in the equation. Because if you multiply or divide any number by 1 is?
1.
No, it's no 1.
What did you say?
I will say again. If you multiply or you multiply or divide any number by 1 will be the
Same time.
same number. So if you put a 1 in front, you are not affecting by any means the equation. If you don't want to put it 1, you don't have to do it. I'm trying to be very illustrative, but it was a put it 1 there. Then we done with these two guys. And then let's go to these two that have the power of 1. You have a positive 6 and a negative 20. 20 is greater than 6, it will be a negative answer. And then you subtract 20 minus 6 is a 14. Will be 14x to the 1 power. You are done with these two guys. And then there is nothing else to combine the 24. So you rewrite the 24 back again, and that is the final answer. Because we don't have no more light term. Any questions so far? Let me know when I can erase to go to the next. Anybody? Erase? Okay. This our next example. Now we are doing is called foiling. When you have two binomials, what you do is called foiling. So you have 4x to the 1 power plus 4 times 1x to the 1 power plus 3. So what we're doing there, we need to do the same thing. Now we have to FOIL. How you FOIL? You multiply first of all, or we by real numbers. If I'm going so very fast, you need to slow me down. You don't tell me nothing, I understand that it's okay in my speed, but if I'm going fast, you see, Mr. Camacho, could you please slow down? I will do it. Because I am very concerned about your learning. You need to learn, and if I'm going fast, probably you don't learn. You're welcome. Just, everybody could do that. So what is FOIL? When you FOIL, you will multiply the first term in the first parenthesis times the first term in the second parenthesis times the second term in the second parenthesis first. After you do that, then you have to multiply the second term in the first parenthesis by the first term of the second parenthesis and the second term in the second parenthesis, and you're done in the multiplication. So let's do that. Again, when we multiply only the numerical part. 4 times 1 is a 4, both are positive, and you add the powers. 1 plus 1 is 2. Then you multiply 4 times 3 is a 12, both are positive, positive 12, x to the 1 because there is no variable there. Then you multiply the second term in the first parenthesis for the first and second term in the second parenthesis. 4 times 1, both are positive, will be 4x to the 1. And then 4 times 3, positive both is 12. We have the foiling, the multiplication. Now we combine like terms again. So you have only one term to rise to the second power. So I will rewrite this again because there is nothing to combine it. Now you have a 12 plus 12x to the 1 power and 12 and 4x. 4 plus 12 of 12 by 4 is a 16 plus 16x to the 1 power, and there is nothing to combine the 12. So I will rewrite the 12 again, and that is my final answer. Any questions so far? I'll wait that you write your equation. So you can see what we're doing is very consistent. We are doing the same thing over and over, and the reason we are doing that is because math is practice. I explaining in this class the why and the when. How to do it is practice. You need to practice this reason. After that, you will have to do your assignment. In your assignment, you will have the same problems, different numbers on. But you know how to work them, each one of them, every scenario. So I can go to the next. Let me jump to how much time we have? 10:47. We have 3 minutes? That's not good. So I need to jump to another step. What happens when you have something like that? X plus 4 to the second power. Some students, when they saw something like this, oh, I know the answer, Mr. Camacho, is x squared plus 16. That is not the answer. Why? Because that is equal to, say, 5 to the second power. How you expand 5 to the second power? Plus 5 times plus. That means the power that you have in the top is telling you how many times you have to multiply by itself what is inside of the parentheses. So the answer to answer this question, I will have to do x plus 4 times x plus 4. And now I have to distribute, I have to FOIL them. No, that is to the power of 1, power of 1. You have a 1 there, a 1 there. So you have a x squared plus 4x plus 4x, 1 power, plus 16. And if you simplify that, there is nothing else with the second power be x squared plus 8x plus 16. That will be the answer. Just remember, every time that you see a monomial rise to second power, it's the same principle that you have any number rise to the second, third, or fourth power. Again, this number is telling you only how many times you have to multiply by itself what is inside of the parentheses. Let's do another example. Have a minute. Let me know if I can erase. If not, I can wait. Anybody copy that? So let's do one more and we finish with this one. Let's do what happens if you have 6x minus 7 to the second power. Again, that is equal to, say, 6x minus 7 times 6x minus 7. So it's both as the first power. You multiply 6 times 6 is 36. You put your x, you add the power. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then you multiply 6x to the 1 power minus 7 is minus 42x to the 1 power. Negative 7 times 6x to the 1 power will be also minus 42x to the 1 power. Negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. And you simplify, there is nothing to combine this number, but you can combine the middle, negative 42 and negative 42 will be a negative. Remember, when you have two negative, it's like you are adding these numbers. So it's negative and negative would be negative 84 x to the 1 power, and there is nothing to combine the 49. That is the final answer. And so far, we have seen everything that you will see in your homework. Because I explained the why and the when. To know how to do it, you have to do your homework. You take your notes, and I will share with you my notes also. So you will see it, and the video is already there. But you will see my notes probably in 14 minutes or 15 minutes, and then you have everything to do your assignment. We'll do the same thing with factorization. Now be sure that you work these problems. Remember the notes that you have, because we will use that to do factorization. Any question before we go?
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. No questions? So remember, Monday we don't have classes because it's Martin Luther King Day. So I will see you Wednesday. And Wednesday we'll do factorization. Well, if there's nothing more to say, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. God bless you guys. Don't forget to go to church Sunday and be happy. See you Wednesday. You send to you. Everybody have one of these pages, no? Girls, everybody took a page of that the first day of classes? Okay, because that is my office hour.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have fun, be safe. Dr. P is another example. He is still a permanent resident. But if I contact him with a senator in order he can bring his wife to the United States, and the senator make him 10 questions. If he can answer yes one of the 10 questions, they will bring his wife or accelerate the process. And he was honest in every answer. One of the questions was, for example, does your wife have a terminate illness? Because they can use any one of these stuff to accelerate the process.
Oh, okay.
To bring her to America. And Dr. P answered no to the 10 questions. I admire him though, because somebody can abuse the system, try to say, and he is still waiting for his wife come to the United States of America. That is the way that everybody should do it. Let me get out of share, clean this one. Let me try to go. How you that we need to.
You want to start with the grade book?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.